situation that popped off a couple of days was the Nick Cannon situation. We were kind of talking a little bit in the beginning about, everybody was kind of with him, and then Nick Cannon all of a sudden came back and he apologized. It seemed like the pressure got to him. What's your take on this whole Nick Cannon situation, and how do you feel about now his apology?
I mean, I don't want to pass judgment on him for apologizing because, we don't know politically what that man is dealing with. And I will say, it's you gotta look at it too, like it's bigger than just Nick Cannon's bag. Like be clear, Nick Cannon got fuck you money. I could do what I want to do, but I'm pretty sure he's also acknowledging that he has a whole cast and crew of people that he employs. So it's not just his bag that's getting affected. There's so many other young black entertainers and entrepreneurs and staff that he's also employing. So I'm pretty sure that has a lot to do with his decision to say, okay, wait a minute, maybe, let me not be so selfish and just tread a little lightly and protect some of the people around me, not just myself. As far as everything that he said, like I think with anything, when you get these 2-minute clips that circulate, it's always the worst part, or something like if you don't know what came before, you don't know what came after it, you don't know what context it was used in, it just always looks bad, and then people will circulate these little clips and run with those narratives. But if you actually watch the show, I don't think it was anti-Semitic at all. Like, in fact, the first 30 minutes of the show was explaining how if Black people are original people of this planet, then it correlates with us also originally being, Hebrew. So it's almost it's impossible, basically what he was saying was it's impossible for a Black person to be anti-Semitic if we were, the original Semites. Now you have, that is a discussion within the woke community. Are we originally from, Africa? Are we originally from Middle East? Were we here already? I mean, I think if you just kind of, research and just kind of put all the pieces together, if we were original people, we were everywhere. So we're indigenous people. We're African. Like, we are we are the original people of the planet Earth. If you believe Adam and Eve was Black, if you believe Jesus is Black, if you believe these people are Black, then it would make sense for everything original to be, an extension of Black people. So, and really what he was getting into really was just the science. Like, I think now, like, white people now got so offended because in that clip it was just like, oh, white people are savage. Like, no, we're not talking. He wasn't talking about like white people today are savage. Like, he really was just explaining the history of white supremacy and how if you were, of those times, that unfortunately, whether you believe in it or not, that is the history of civilization. Like, it didn't just start when Christopher Columbus came here and did what he did with Indians. Like, it goes back to, conquerors shooting off the noses of the Sphinx. It goes back to, like, every land, every race of people at some point were conquered by colonizing Europeans. I mean, it's an ugly history, whether white people want to accept it or not, it is your history. So it's not, like, you can't get mad for someone discussing it out loud. And even deeper in that interview, which is a known fact, is the whole history of whitewashing, how over time, things that were invented and created by other people in some form or fashion over time and over history, and within all the history books, it becomes, someone else created it, someone else invented it, and people, knowledge is out there now, resources and information is out there now. Like it isn't this little secret anymore that you could just keep hidden in books. People are learning these things and researching things and quote unquote waking up, if you will. So whether you want to accept your past, I don't think you should get mad at it. I think you should embrace it, learn from it, move forward, make it right.
Absolutely. Now, as black people, we've had the conversations of where we originated for years and years. And the Hebrew Israelites are one of those conversations. We were the original children of Israel. White people, in particular Jewish people, don't want to have that conversation back with us. And the thing that upset me most about Nick Cannon's apology is the fact that he kind of shot down his own intelligence, because like you just put, he dropped a history lesson on exactly why he said what he said. And if people would just listen, they would understand. And that's what we're having issues with. So I ask you, why do you think the ultimate apology came out the way that it did? Because, all right, it's one thing to apologize, which I have no problem with either. I don't know if Mariah is Jewish. I don't know if she has, I don't know what's going on. So it's like, all right, let me cool this out. But why do it to where you like, all right, I have no idea what's going on. I need to further gain information. I need to do better research. Like, hold on, brother, you've done your research and you've stated your truth. So why apologize like this? What do you think about that?
That I think for me, that was the issue that I had with the apology. I think as far as damn, I'm sorry, I'm getting a call and I got it on Do Not Disturb. I think are you hearing me? Is my audio still good?
Yes, we hear you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just making sure. That for me actually was my issue with the apology, because it was almost like, now you're basically saying you didn't know what you were talking about. You were wrong. Like, you were absolutely positively correct in your history and your knowledge, and don't be ashamed of that. You can, if you want to apologize, maybe you can apologize if someone took it out of context, but don't apologize as if to say you didn't know what you were talking about. You were wrong. You can apologize of how it may have come off. If it came off as insensitive or racial. If if that was the reason for your apology, but don't apologize like you didn't know what you were talking about.
Right.
Now, why do you think it is? So we were talking about this situation, and like, if Nick Cannon just kind of just worked for himself, if some of these people just work for themselves, had their own media platform, why do you think it is that blacks don't want to really venture off and build their own media conglomerate or anything really big like that? They always want to latch on to a bigger, whiter company to do what they got to do. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I don't think it's that we don't want to. I think there are, I do think that there are obstacles, if you will, that keep us from obtaining certain goals. Maybe for some people it's, look, man, I don't want to mess up my bag. For others, some people try and just can't get past certain hurdles, and I guess it's really a case by case basis. I think I would be remiss to say that none of us have never tried. I just think it's one of those things where we already come into situations disadvantaged, and when you compound that with being a free thinker and not going with the mob mentality, then you almost double your chances of failure, if you will. And if you are fortunate enough to overcome those things and really do have those platforms for yourself, at some point, just know that you're going to be a target one way or another. You're going to be, whether you get Me Too, whether you get like whatever, I mean, and I'm not making light of the Me Too movement. I just know that there are, there are going to be a lot of ways that folks are going to try to skin those cats. And unfortunately, we are in a place where it is not designed for Black excellence. So when you are in those, I guess when you do reach those pinnacles, you do have to tread lightly if you want to, if you want to continue to attain, or maintain, I should say, the level of success you reach, or else, you see the end result. Like you really just have to. It's almost like you really just have to be ready to die for it. Like you can't be a Martin or a Malcolm if you ain't ready to die for it. That's really like the black ass bottom line.
Do you think his apology and the way it was presented will save any of his opportunities at CBS or Viacom?
Well, I did see Fox say that they're not. Fox of all stations where he's hosting The Masked Singer, they're not dropping him.
Wow.
My issue with Viacom is like, okay, y'all took such offense to that, but y'all have no problem showcasing these reality shows where sisters fighting and twerking and throwing drinks at each other all day. So fuck y'all too.
Word. I mean, and the reason why he was upset at them was because they weren't allowing him to do coverage on George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's murders, and they weren't allowing him to do that anymore. So where do y'all really stand when it comes to that? The line is clearly being divided and shown from y'all standpoint too, and we don't hear any coverage on that. So
that's why people. Like everybody, you see immediately after the protest started, everybody with their mission statements and we stand with the Black community and Black Lives Matter and power to the people. But at the end of the day, are you changing your policies? Like, yeah, that's great that you're, you might change this particular low